There was a time when Sarah Mitchell's life seemed perfect. She had a successful career as a marketing executive in New York City, a beautiful apartment in Manhattan, and a circle of close friends who she loved dearly. Her life was fast-paced, full of excitement and ambition. She had everything she ever dreamed of, or at least, that's what she thought. But one cold winter's evening in 2019, everything she thought she knew about her life would change. Sarah was sitting in her office, staring at her computer screen, when her phone buzzed. It was a message from her sister, Emma, back home in Connecticut. "Sarah, I need to talk to you. It's urgent." A knot formed in Sarah's stomach. She quickly texted back. "What's wrong, Emma?" The message that came back was brief: "Mom's sick. We need to go to the hospital." Sarah's heart sank. Her mother, who had always been strong, vibrant, and full of life, had recently been experiencing some health issues. They had brushed it off as something minor, but now, it seemed more serious than they had anticipated. Without hesitation, Sarah packed her things, left her office, and took the first train out of the city. As she sat on the train, her mind raced. She couldn't help but think about the worst-case scenario. Her mother had always been the cornerstone of their family, the one who held everything together. The thought of losing her was unthinkable. She needed to stay strong for her family, but how could she, when everything seemed to be falling apart? By the time Sarah arrived at the hospital, the situation had become more dire than she had imagined. Her mother had been diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of cancer. The doctors were doing their best to stabilize her, but the prognosis was bleak. Sarah's world, which had once felt so secure, now seemed fragile and uncertain. Over the next few weeks, Sarah did everything she could to support her mother. She coordinated with doctors, talked to family members, and tried to keep up with her work in the city. But the pressure was taking its toll. The weight of everything. The fear of losing her mother, the strain of trying to juggle her demanding job, and the overwhelming responsibility of managing it all, was starting to break her. It was on one particularly exhausting evening, after another long day at the hospital, that Sarah found herself at a breaking point. She had just gotten home to her apartment in New York, physically drained and emotionally exhausted. Her phone buzzed again. Another work-related email. Another issue to resolve. But this time, instead of responding, Sarah just stared at the screen. She couldn't do it anymore. The idea of managing everything, of keeping up appearances and maintaining control, felt impossible. Sarah sat down on her couch, tears streaming down her face. She had always prided herself on being strong, on handling challenges with grace. But now, she felt like everything was falling apart. She felt like she was suffocating under the weight of her responsibilities, with no way out. That night, as Sarah lay awake in bed, she thought about the one thing that had always kept her going in times of hardship: her ability to stay calm. She remembered a time when she had faced adversity in her career, and how she had managed to push through it by staying composed and focused. But now, it seemed like no amount of calmness would help her. Her mother's illness was too much. The pressure at work was too much. Everything was too much. But in the quiet of the night, something shifted within Sarah. She realized that perhaps the answer wasn't in trying to maintain control of everything, it was in accepting that she couldn't. That night, she made a decision. She would face the challenges ahead not by trying to control them, but by finding a way to stay calm and present in the midst of chaos. The next day, Sarah called her best friend, Rebecca. She needed someone to talk to. Rebecca had always been there for her, offering advice and support whenever Sarah needed it most. Over coffee, Sarah shared her fears, her frustrations, and the overwhelming sense of helplessness she was feeling. "Sarah, I know things seem impossible right now. But you've been through hard times before, and you've always come out stronger on the other side," Rebecca said gently. "You don't have to do this alone. You just need to remember to breathe and take things one step at a time." Rebecca's words were a wake-up call for Sarah. She realized that in trying to do everything at once, she had lost sight of the most important thing: her own well-being. She had been so focused on taking care of everyone else that she had neglected herself. It was time to make a change. From that moment forward, Sarah committed to finding ways to stay calm in the face of adversity. She started small. Every morning, before she started her day, she took 5 minutes to sit quietly and breathe deeply. She focused on the present moment, letting go of the anxiety about the future and the regrets about the past. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Sarah also made a conscious effort to prioritize her mental health. She reached out to a therapist and began working through her feelings of stress, grief, and guilt. She learned tools to manage her emotions, like mindfulness and meditation, and slowly, she began to feel a sense of peace amidst the chaos. But perhaps the most important change came in her relationship with her mother. As Sarah spent more time with her mom, she realized that her mother's strength wasn't in being unshakable, it was in her ability to face each day with grace, no matter the circumstances. Her mother had taught Sarah how to stay calm, not by avoiding the storm, but by standing firm in the midst of it. As the weeks passed, Sarah's mother's condition worsened. The doctors said there was little they could do, and Sarah had to face the painful reality that time was running out. But instead of succumbing to fear and despair, Sarah found herself embracing each moment with her mother, savoring the time they had left. She focused on the love and the memories they had created, rather than the inevitable loss that loomed ahead. One evening, as Sarah sat by her mother's bedside, her mother reached for her hand. "Sarah, you've always been so strong," her mother said softly. "But remember, being strong doesn't mean you have to carry everything on your own. It means knowing when to lean on others, and when to let go." Those words stayed with Sarah long after her mother passed away. She realized that true strength wasn't about holding it all together, it was about knowing when to ask for help, when to take a step back, and when to trust that everything would work out, even in the midst of uncertainty. In the months that followed, Sarah's life continued to be full of challenges. There were days when she felt overwhelmed, and moments when she wasn't sure how she would keep going. But each time, she returned to the lessons she had learned during her mother's illness. The importance of staying calm, taking one step at a time, and finding peace in the present moment. And as Sarah faced each new challenge, she learned that no matter how difficult life got, she could handle it, because she had learned how to stay calm when everything was falling apart.